With some breaking news that we are monitoring outside near the White House. We are learning from the Associated Press, reporting right now that two National Guardsmen have been shot near the White House. Active investigation is going on right now, and you can see the report there from the AP. Darlene Superbill saying two National Guard members have been shot in Washington, D.C., and their condition isn't known at this time. We want to go out to the coverage of Fox 5 DC, and looks like they are on this right now. Let's just show you the vantage point and the scene that you are seeing right now play out in DC. Let's listen in from Fox 5 DC.
I hate to report this, but these were two Virginia National Guards, and it is now being reported that both have expired. Both guards have unfortunately passed away in our nation's capital, blocks away from the White House. What the hell is going on? This is a coup. This is a coup, and it's not even necessarily one that's being coordinated. It's the media is putting these messages out there, and people are picking up on them. First things first, Trump is saying that this man's going to be, whoever did the shootings, going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent and very steep punishment. No, he's not. No, he's not. Trump, you couldn't even prosecute Comey. You couldn't prosecute Letitia James. The Democrats and Schumer informed us in the public that before you took office, they had put in over 250 liberal Democrat judges to make sure that everything you do, they would oppose. ICE's hands are tied. The National Guard's hands are tied. Our law enforcement's hands are tied. Law enforcement can't arrest people if they're black. They're being instructed to only arrest or go after people that are white. Then you have our guards, unarmed, but just walking around one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Washington, D.C., the capital of one of the wealthiest nation on earth, is the ghetto. Have you been to our nation's capital in the last 20 years? It's the hood. Blocks away from the White House are murders, drug dealing, crack. It's a ho-ho is what we call it. White in the middle, surrounded by black. Isn't that the results we see in all of our main cities? You go to Chicago, white in downtown, surrounded by black. Crime, murder, and they're enabled. And there's nothing you can do about it. I say this to say they're letting out certain people from prison, and they're going to start only enforcing laws against certain people. You look at the UK. If you're an Islamist terrorist who has raped and murdered, they will free you from prison to make room to lock up white British people who are speaking ill about immigration policies in the UK. Just ask Tommy Robinson. Look at the reporting on X. That's the plan for here. And we don't even got to wait until the Democrats win. This is going to be the plan here during Trump's term. Our hands are tied, and Trump does not have the stomach that it takes to do what needs to be done. Right now, you have openly gay white senators and people in Congress, who are literally getting on the news and getting on TV and saying, hey, if you're in the military, any orders you deem illegal, not whatever they tell you is illegal, whatever you feel is illegal that Trump tells you to do, don't do it. Openly calling for sedition, openly doing a test to see who is still loyal to them that's in the military. Because remember, Pete Hegseth, when he came into office, he purged all of the gay and trans people in the military. Why is that? Because he knows those people specifically are left-leaning and Democrat sympathizers who are only in these positions to sabotage. That's what the whole DEI. DEI is not about diversity and equity and inclusion. It's about putting people in place who will sabotage your state governance, your company, your business, whatever you're going to put them in. Why do you think one of them stuck their heads up when Charlie Kirk died? In the Secret Service. Do you know, had they not purged him, that man was a black guy, he would have literally been probably the one to pull the trigger on Trump eventually in the Secret Service. There is a loyalty test going on right now. People that support pride versus people that don't. The Russians already announced that that's what the divide is, and you're going to have to profile people on that basis. Why are all the shooters trans? Why is the guy there trying to say that took out Kirk is gay and trans? The Butler shooter, gay, trans. There is a distinct pattern that nobody wants to address because, we don't want to profile people. You're going to need a profile. I'll go not too far, but I'll go as far as to say is this: habeas corpus must be suspended. We are literally creeping upon civil war. This is a time back in the 1800s where it was. This is reminiscent of Bleeding Kansas. This is before Bull Run. This is Bleeding Kansas right now. If you don't know what habeas corpus is, that's when the government will literally arrest you without going to a judge and saying, hey, we're going to charge him with this. They will arrest you and hold you indefinitely. Abraham Lincoln literally had to suspend habeas corpus and arrest politicians just because they were in the way and they were sabotaging the plan. Right now, you have literal senators and congresspeople calling for sedition. You have people that are instigating war, that are literally trying to subvert the president's agenda and his plans and basically creating division. Those people must be removed from the population. If we don't show strength, we're done. Why do you think somebody would be so bold to literally kill two Virginia National Guardsmen in broad daylight in Washington, D.C.? Because he knows the first chance a liberal judge gets, they are going to free him on a technicality. They're not going to give him the harshest penalty. They're going to say this was a crime of passion, or he was clinically insane, or he's not mentally fit to stand trial. They're going to make every excuse they can to cover for their asset, their weapon. Do not let them lie to you. These people are being weaponized by the media. It's hyping up their hate and their anger. And when you talk to them, they can't explain what they don't like about Trump. But you got to understand, we're watching the rise of the MAP, the MAPs. I kept telling you for years, the goal is to legalize people having access sexually to children. Trump is the biggest hurdle to that point. Charlie Kirk was a massive hurdle. These people are now making their move. The MAPs are here. The people you keep seeing that are getting arrested, when you're trans and these people are also, they like children. And in California, Senate Bill 145 decriminalized sexual contact with children, making it so that it's no longer a crime that would make you have to get on a sex offenders registry and you would lose basically your business, your livelihood. They removed the penalties from it because they say, well, if the kid says they're gay and the adult says they're gay, we can't prosecute them because, then that would be us discriminating against them based on their sexuality. That's the plan, to make it so that it's no longer a crime. These people, these MAPs, these pedophiles, they are literally, they're making their move. They want to be affirmed. They want to be accepted. They don't want it to be a crime anymore. Biden and Harris were helping them push that agenda. Gavin Newsom helping them push that agenda. If you look at my Instagram, I've been sharing stories. There was a Senate hearing the other day where there was a judge who specifically allowed a sex offender to keep getting released, to do it again and again on purpose. And then when the man was caught again, he said, I'm trans now. That same judge put him in a woman's prison and he raped someone again. They want to decriminalize these acts because, they're all guilty of it. So if you decriminalize pedophilia and then that Epstein list drops, then where's the crime? Listen to what I'm saying. If these senators who came out and told the military to ignore Trump's orders, if they're all gay people with histories of children as well, if the Epstein list drops and they have any connections at all 20 years ago, 15 years ago, remember Epstein only died not too long ago. He was literally texting sitting members of Congress in 2019. If these people if they're known to be gay and to actually have access to children and they have any dirt on them, if they can just get this legislation pushed through that would decriminalize it, then no matter what's in those files, it won't hurt them. Instead of changing the culture of child abuse, they would rather change the laws. Donald Trump is in the way. Charlie Kirk was in the way. Tim Pool is in the way. There are people that speak out against this that say we would never stand for it. We'd rather die and go to war to protect children than to have peace by just turning them over. Like I keep saying, if we just said, you know what, we're going to decriminalize, Trump said tomorrow, we're going to decriminalize it. And then that way we can have peace in the country. We're going to accept being a pedophile as a sexual orientation under that will get LGBT protections. And we're going to decriminalize it, not make it legal, but just decriminalize it. There would be no more assassinations. There would be no more attacks on guardsmen. There will be no more political violence. That's all they want. Conservatives, we would die before we allow that to happen. If we can't protect kids, then what good are we? Right now, we are fighting. The war has already started. Trump has to do what it takes. He has to grow a pair. He's going to have to suspend habeas corpus. These people must be rounded up and held. If not, they're going to unleash their army upon us in the public. Right now, they're individually setting certain people on fire. There's no coincidence. These are all white women that are being stabbed, punched, set ablaze, shot, robbed, killed. This is not just a coincidence. It's not just because they're the majority. These people are being specifically targeted, and their criminals are getting a pat on the wrist and getting let out. This shooter today, first chance they get, even if it's 8 months from now, 2 years from now, they're going to just quickly let this guy go. They're not going to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. Trump does not have the power, and he doesn't have the stomach to do it. If Trump suspends habeas corpus, it would let these people know that the normalcy bias of being able to run over Republicans and how weak Republicans have been, those days are over. But you're going to have to bring in the military. You're going to have to arrest these sitting congressmen. You're going to have to arrest these people that are openly calling for sedition. If you don't, and you wait too long, you're going to get the same results you got when we didn't call in the National Guard when BLM was attempting to burn down the White House. Remember, the real insurrection was actually 5/29, May 29th. It wasn't January 6th. It was May 29th when they burnt down the guards tower and they attacked the church, and Trump had to go into the bunker. We're literally at that time right now. We need Trump to have strength, but he's going to need the American people to back him. There will be protests about suspending habeas corpus, but it must be done. There's no other option. Because right now, because there's a small technicality, we're not going to charge Comey or Letitia James, but yet everybody else in America can still get prosecuted. But now these are political prosecutions, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, or depending on if you're white or not. That's how they're going to decide if they're going to prosecute you and how hard. This cannot be allowed. Look at what we're dealing with. 2 Virginia guardsmen are dead. They're unarmed because Trump doesn't want to give them weapons because of the optics. If somebody pulls a gun and they happen to kill him, what if the guy that was going to kill them, what if his gun jammed and their guns worked and they killed him instead? The media would have spun it. National Guardsmen killing illegals, killing someone who's trans, killing someone who's gay, because trust me, he's going to be one of those. They're not telling us the description of the person who did it, but he's going to fit in one of those. He's going to fit in there. If he's white, he's going to be gay. If he's a person of color, he's going to be an illegal, or he's going to be a trans. He's going to be something different. And they're going to protect him. But because of the optics, these guardsmen are not armed. And the rules of engagement are so strict, they couldn't defend themselves if they wanted to. ICE is getting their cars rammed. People are drawing weapons, and when they defend themselves and fight back, the judges in Chicago, the judges in these other cities are scolding them as if they're supposed to just allow it to happen and not defend themselves. And instead of Trump arresting the judges for doing this, they say, you know what, we'll just play nice, we'll do it different. And now these officers, law enforcement, ICE is law enforcement. ICE is still law enforcement. Don't ever get it twisted. They're not bounty hunters, they're law enforcement. They can't even do their jobs. And the local police are being instructed not to help them. But they even know who butters their bread. They don't want to lose their jobs. So they're either staying neutral or they're going on the other side of the coup that's going against the administration and our current government. Remember, these people do not want to be a part of the constitutional republic. They want to create their own multicultural democracy made up of different types of gays, blacks, illegals, and they want to have a new government take over and replace our current form of government. That's why they keep talking about our democracy, our democracy. What democracy? We are a constitutional republic. We've never been a democracy. They live in two distinct different worlds. And they run cover and protect each other. This is horrible news for the country, and this is horrible news for the families of these two brave guardsmen.
Reportedly an active shooter near 17th and I Streets. You see DC police on scene, more than a dozen cruisers are there near 17th and I. This is near the White House.
If you ever wondered what it would look like if a civil war began, our soldiers were just killed on American soil in front of the White House in our nation's capital. That means if somebody, it could be gangs, it could be terrorists, it could be anyone now. No one's fearful of our law enforcement anymore. They're not fearful of our administration. They're not fearful of the government because they can tell that it's our own government working against our own people. Our own government has already been proven to put Israel over Americans. Why do you think we keep having to scream America first? Why do you think we have to keep telling people that? Because everyone wants to put these other institutions in front of us and above us. We expect our government, and we are wrong. Our government is not ours anymore. It's not of the people and by the people for the people. That it hasn't been for a long time. The only chance we had was Trump coming back in and restoring power. But he showed strength when he was running. But he's afraid to use that strength now. So now look at what happens. The fear of torture and the fear of electrocution should have scared someone away from wanting to attract one of our soldiers. But nowadays, you commit one of these crimes, you murder someone, you're out of jail in 10 years. You're still young. A slap on the wrist. They're not even punishing you to the full extent of the law anymore because punishing certain people is considered racist. So now you can't even lock people in jail. These judges are going to let them out. District attorneys are going to let them out. George Soros-backed district attorneys are going to let these people free. You think a George Soros, funded district attorney, if this case goes before him, you think this person's going to get punished who killed these two guards? He already has these DAs already have a history of being lenient on killers. We've allowed other countries to finance and fund our politicians to the point where everyone is basically disarmed, tied up. No one can say or do anything. All that's left is just independent journalists. The news barely will cover this. And they can't say everything they want to because one slip of a word and you're kicked off of the air. Well, kick me off. Good luck.
Yeah, so Homa, the National Guard, as we know, they have been stationed across the city with mainly a support role for that federal surge that President Trump put into effect over the summer. But we have also seen a scaling back. We have also seen legal challenges to it. We know that some were supposed to be sent home. There was a recent ruling that the Guard was here illegally, but there was a 3-week wait for the Trump administration to be able to challenge.
Yes, a liberal judge ruled that the National Guard was in DC illegally and that the implementation of the National Guard was illegal. There are hundreds of judges that are all put in different positions to only serve as roadblocks for protecting the security and enforcing the laws of our country. Literally seditionists. All 250 should be in custody, and we go from there. Those judges should not be ruling on anything. Anyone acting in the name of sedition. And think about it. Who judges? Who says this is sedition versus this is not? Only the president. What are you going to do? Put a committee together, and then everyone's going to decide 3-1 if this is sedition or not? That's not how. We're going to get nothing done. We're going to get our asses handed to us because of bureaucracy and red tape. We don't have the time. We got more than 3 years left of Trump's presidency, and they're literally already attacking us. The war has already started. What do you think civil war looks like? What do you think? You're going to just be running around in camouflage and shooting in front of a Circle K? That's not how it works. It looks like this: attacks on our military and anyone who is loyal to the president. This is a coup. They're openly calling for it, and everyone acts like it's no big deal. Trump said they should be that the punishment is death. Why are you talking like that, Trump? Don't talk about it. Fucking be about it. Do your big one. Go for it. Do what must be done. Don't talk. Take action. People are going to hate you either way, Trump. You must do what you know is right. They hated Abraham Lincoln at the time. Hindsight is 2020. We look back and we all say the same thing. Abraham Lincoln did the right thing to save the country. Eggs must be broken to make this omelet. We need the strength. We need the enforcement. We cannot let Trump weaken out on us and be so afraid of what the media is going to say or how Fox is going to take it or what CNN is going to say. And then they know that Trump should and needs to suspend habeas corpus. That's the only thing they're afraid of. Why do you think they all came out and said, hey, if you're in the military, if Trump gives you an illegal order, you have to ignore it? They're saying that ahead of time because they know for the moves that are about to be made, the only option and the only way to stop them is to remove habeas corpus so that certain people can be arrested without charge and held indefinitely in detention for crimes of sedition. You don't have to be convicted of sedition because that's more bureaucracy and red tape. Trials in America take years. We don't have years to wait for a jury to decide. These people must be picked up and removed from society ASAP. They should have been removed from society the same day they put out that video. But you're waiting. And every day we wait, they get stronger. They become more emboldened. And then those in the public, those who are radical, they see that there is a chink in the armor and they make their move. They made their move today against our guardsmen. What are we going to do about it? We need leadership. We need a strong leader. We need a strong leader. We don't have one right now. We have one that's willing to talk, but we don't have one that's willing to do. And that's the scary part because we don't have enough time to wait for him to get it together. We need someone strong. We need someone who is going to make the hard decisions, not the easy ones.
So still a lot of people stationed here from not just here in DC as well, but also Guard members from Ohio, Louisiana, Tennessee, West Virginia as well.
And if you've been in DC, in and around the district, anytime in the last few months, you have seen them. They are at metro stops. They are at the National Mall. They have been walking all around city streets. Chris, like you said, they have been starting to dwindle their numbers down.
We also remember there was a debate over whether or not they would be armed when they were on the street, whether they would be carrying weapons with them. So that is probably one of the major questions here, too.
They're neutered. They're walking around with slingshots. They can't be armed because black residents say that a white man with a gun intimidates me. If a white man with an American flag on his shirt scares them because they're criminals and they hate law enforcement because they break the laws for a living, then what do you think a white man with a uniform Because think about it. Who are the most ones who are going to be brave enough to want to stand up for our republic and defend this country with their lives? Of course, they're going to be white. Why do you think all the people that are in the uniform and police officers, for the most part, are white? No one else has a stake in this country and in the country's future besides conservative white people who this is their country. This is their families, their ancestors fought and died for it. And now everyone else is exploiting their efforts, their death, their lineage. Let's be honest. This is what's happening all around us to date. And there is no end in sight. It's just getting worse. The social media platforms allow people to get on here and talk crazy and say evil things and call for the death of white people. And you won't get banned. You won't get censored. You won't have no consequences. They do that on purpose. Because with enough programming over enough time, these people become emboldened. Now you're not just fighting the radicals, you're fighting the public. If Trump suspends habeas corpus, there are going to be riots. The BLM crowds are going to make their move. They want to overthrow our government, but these people don't have anything better to put in place. They just want you to lose everything so you can all be equally poor. That way you can never look down on them. They choose to be at the bottom. You choose to work. They don't want you to work. Why do you think they're all screaming for EBT and universal basic income? They envy those who want to work. To work is the American spirit. To work is the American dream. You don't come to this country hoping to get free healthcare, free SNAP food, and free Section 8. You come to this country because you want to work to take care of yourself and determine your own destiny. And we've lost that because we let anybody in, and we have no standards for those who are born here but want to stay. That's why birthright citizenship must be removed. These people that are born here are entitled. They don't even want to work. They hate the country. They're not even proud Americans. They should be also kicked out of the country. They should also be able to be banned. Past a certain amount of convictions, you should be expelled. Everything that made this country special and unique, the opportunity to be an elite by just being an American, all that is gone. And we've let these people shame us into giving away our birthright. We've lost 2 brave soldiers. We don't know how many soldiers are loyal to us on the constitutional republic and how many soldiers in the military are loyal now to the multicultural democracy. We don't know. And I'll be honest, they don't know. That's why they put out that message. They're calling because they're doing a virtual signal to see who's still left in the ranks. Many of them were purged months ago, but we don't know who's still in there. We don't know how many are going to sabotage our weaponry or set off bombs in the barracks. We don't know what's coming next, but we know we can look back on the history and what happened during the Civil War back then. Except now we're not on different sides. We're all together and we're going to have to be separated, but there are going to be saboteurs. There are going to be guerrillas. Look for people to put bombs in their own barracks or blow up trucks with their own soldiers in it. All it takes is one who's not loyal. And you don't know, he looks normal, but on the inside, he's a trans sympathizer, or he's gay, or he's a minor attracted person. That means he's a pedophile. He's secret with it. You don't know. You can't look at these people all the time and tell. They've done studies where you can look at a person's facial structure and tell if they're gay. That is true. It's a scientific fact. The AI can tell. But as people, sometimes if you try to tell, they'll call you a profile. Profile. Do what you have to do. But you need to be able to identify who these people are because they are the enemy right now. When this war starts, that's how you're going to know who's on which side. We don't know who's who, and that's the scariest part of this war. They know who we are. We don't know who they are. They know who we are because of the flag in front of our house, because we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, because we go to church, because we pray to God, because we believe in the Constitution. They know who we are. We don't necessarily know who any of them are. They're all around us and we don't know who's who. That's the part that should scare us all.
Is whether or not, if this was a random attack, if they were armed and able to even defend themselves.
And, right now, MPD saying that they're on scene. It's an active shooting, 17th and I Street. They're asking people avoid the area. They're shutting down streets. It appears that the White House area around the White House may be locked down. Yemisi, you are in and around the White House so often. When something like this happens, we know they're the most well-trained people in the world around that building.
Right. So we know that Secret Service immediately responded to it. And I'm sure that East Exec and West Exec and the road that divides the White House and the Treasury building, remember, there are employees probably at the Department of Treasury right now that are under lockdown as well. It's good to know for the viewers that the president and the first lady both left yesterday to Florida for Thanksgiving. So we know that the president isn't in the White House.
I'm reading one of the comments. He said, "You sure are mad for a hypothetical situation." My friend, this is not hypothetical. You sound like those idiots on Tim Pool's show last night that were laughing about Candace Owens taking her show off the air and taking extra precautions because of the threats on her life. You idiots are pretending Charlie Kirk wasn't just assassinated. You guys are pretending that it wasn't barely 12 months ago that Trump almost died in Butler. You pretend like all those presidents weren't killed in Africa a couple of years ago during the scamdemic for not allowing Pfizer to come in and do injections with the World Economic Forum. People are being murdered. We are literally at war. This is not a hypothetical situation. It's called foresight. As a man, you're supposed to look ahead for danger. That way, those who are in tow behind you can be protected. You have to look ahead. I don't have the luxury to just live in the here and the now. I have to live 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, as far out as I can, a year or 2 years from now. You know, remember those days as a man, you're supposed to have a 5-year plan and you're supposed to have a bug out plan in case something goes wrong. You cannot have your guard down. This is not the time. Literally, people are being murdered all around us. This is a war. This is a coup. And just because they don't get on the news and tell you, hi, coup time, doesn't mean it's not happening. You have to be able to read between the lines yourself. You have to be an adult. There is no other adult that's going to come as an adult and tell you as an adult what to do. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself. Now, me sitting here talking to you, I'm doing the best I can. Now, I saved those who I could during the scamdemic from the shot. I'm doing what I can now to save those who are literally going to be in the line of fire when all this hits the fan, which is now. You don't know what you're going to wake up to tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to live in the same country a week from now. It won't take much for everything to change. Something's going to give. And what if you wake up and Trump's no longer president because something happens to him or Vance or the entire White House? What are you going to do if you wake up and Trump has to suspend habeas corpus and certain political officials are arrested and removed because we know that they are a threat? Then what are you going to do? When people around you want to go riot and burn down the White House, but you're in support of the president, are you going to make that be known? Are you going to be willing to fight your own family members? Are you going to be willing to kill? Are you willing to die? These are questions that you're going to have to ask yourself if things go wrong. That's why I'm trying to talk to everybody so we can figure out how to keep things together. If we can, we want to avoid that, but only knowledge is power. When people are surprised by things, they're caught off guard, they get scared, they make rash, fast, quick decisions, and they're usually the wrong decisions. We are going to need to be smart about this and figure out what's happening. People are dying around us. And now our brave National Guardsmen are being murdered in the streets during the daytime because they're unarmed and they were just sitting ducks waiting for something like this to happen because the judges disarmed them. Activist liberal judges disarmed them. Think of what's happening right now. This is not what we are no longer in Kansas.
At this time, I'm sure that there are still senior advisors and maybe even some folks over at Treasury that are still in on Wednesday. If I was at the White House, I would still be working at this Wednesday and will probably be not allowed to exit until it's given the all clear, which from the looks of it is going to take a long time to figure this out.
And right now there are a lot of road closures in and around the area. They're shutting down pedestrian and vehicle traffic between the 500 and 900 blocks of 17th Street. That goes from New York Ave to K Street Northwest, and the 800 block of Connecticut Avenue from 8th Street to I Street Northwest. So this is going to be a very active, very long investigation. We're just getting this information into the newsroom right now, but as of now, the AP is reporting that 2 National Guard members have been shot in D.C. This is, again, just a few blocks away from the White House. and we are not aware of what their condition is. But initially, sources are telling us that there was an active shooter in the area of 17th and I Street. A lot of road closures. This is closed to pedestrian and vehicular traffic right now. You know, a lot of people are already off for the Thanksgiving holiday in downtown DC. So many people not at their office jobs today. So it may be a little less of an inconvenience to people when it comes to traffic in that area.
So let's go ahead and do a profile of the shooter. Let's see if I'm right. Today's the day before a national holiday. What's everybody already doing? Getting out of town to go spend time with their families so they can be together on Thanksgiving. This person knew that they were arrested without incident. They're still alive. So that means they didn't want to bang it out with the police. They killed the guards and they went and they were arrested peacefully. They knew they were going to jail. What are the odds that these people don't have a family? They don't have children. They don't have a wife. Mid-30s, early 40s. So they're likely not, they're going to be able to separate a different lifestyle. They're likely going to be a gay or trans person, an extremist. And they're probably going to have some footage of them on the internet talking about how Trump becoming president took away their rights. And just like the rest, when you ask them, okay, what rights did you lose as an American once Trump became president? And they can't tell you. It's not because they don't know. The right that they are talking about is the right to have access to children without being prosecuted. They call you arresting them for pedophilia or crimes against children as being persecuted. You guys don't read the literature. I do. I share the interviews. I read what they say. I actually listen to these people. I can explain to you their rationale. I'm doing it now. You're in the dark, so you're in denial. But that's what you're fighting. Let me give you an example. If you're a heterosexual man or straight man like myself, you love women, right? Men fight over women. Men die over women. Men do what they can to win the favor of women so that we can have sex with them and have kids with them and marry them. You love your women. Men go to war and fight in other countries to protect their women and children back home. You know that kind of affinity and dedication we have because we love women? There are people that feel that same way about children, except in a sexual way. And they will fight, they will kill, they will die for that access. And this has been the first time they've ever been able to come out of the closet and kind of be open about it. And now they're finding each other and they're making their move. You don't understand it because you don't pay attention. I share the data. Go to my page on Instagram, Right Wing Rico. There's the plethora of data and information. I do what I can now to make these videos on YouTube, and I kind of explain the stuff that I post. I make videos about my post. I source my own posts, but I'm late. You know, I really started doing this and going this hard post Charlie Kirk. I was doing stuff before Charlie Kirk, but there was a Charlie Kirk already. You didn't need me to add to it. And I was wrong. There needs to be 100 more Rico Limbaugh's single boyfriend, right wing Rico. There needs to be 1,000 of us talking to 20 million of us, not 24 of us. We need more. And that's unfortunately, I feel like this is my fault because you should have been more informed by me. And I'm taking this as I should have extended my reach. I should have made more content. I should have done more outreach to grow my audience, to grow my influence, and to spread my voice and the message of what's actually happening in the country around us. So many of us live in our own bubbles. We have no idea that what's happening on the other side of the country will reverberate and affect us over here. You know, what do they say? The snowflake never blames itself for the avalanche, but we're all involved. I feel like I failed a lot of people by staying so quiet, going out to party and drink every day and putting my head in the sand instead of being in the fray, putting myself out there, talking to the people, explaining to them what's happening so that we can make better, more informed decisions. You know, just because we got Trump elected, and I took people and I talked people, I spoke to people, and when we went to debates, and when I won them over, they said, you know what, Trump is a better choice. Me doing that wasn't enough. I shouldn't have just stopped there. Once he became president, kicked my feet up. I moved back to the country full time, and I'm thinking, okay, great, all is well, right? We have the military, we have law enforcement, we have our intelligence agencies, we have national security. I was wrong. All of these agencies are compromised. We're split. And when you have two sides in the same country opposed to each other, what's the other word for that? If I'm not supposed to call it a civil war, a civil strife, what else am I supposed to call it? What do you call it? What do you call it?
But it's likely that the area around the White House will be locked down. We do not know right now if there is a suspect in custody or the condition of the two National Guard members who have reportedly been shot in D.C. You're looking at Skyfox live pictures over the area of 17th and I Streets right now.
Then this is outdated. We know this now, and we know that they have someone in custody and two passed away. You know, this is old too. What's live? Where's the live button? This is live right here.
It's the $1 million question.
Yeah, this is bad because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'll be honest, they're going to go all in. There is no turning back. There is no reverse button. There is no stop. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep the pressure on. They're going to try to get Trump out of there. And they're going to do everything they can to try to make that happen. He's going to need help from the public, from Trump supporters. We're going to have to be brave. You know, they've watered you down. They told you your whole life self-defense was a form of white supremacy. Self-preservation was a form of white supremacy. Defending your home and your loved ones was racist. They've literally cucked you where you have no strength. You're afraid of everything. You're afraid of getting in trouble or being shamed. And these are not the times for that anymore. You're going to have to be brave. You're going to have to not care about what others are going to think or what they're going to call you. You're going to have to be smarter than that. Just because, you know, like in that movie that they made last year, and the people said, we're American citizens. And the soldier said, what kind of Americans are you? What kind of Americans? Just because you were born in this country does not mean that you are you're loyal to the Republic, you're loyal to the Constitution, you're loyal to the president. And we can't just look at people and tell because you don't know what's going on in their mind. And if you don't know their history, you don't know what they've done in secret, you don't know their sex tourism or their little or what they find on those people's computers with the children. You don't know what they're really up to. But you know that those people don't want to go to jail. And if they think getting rid of Trump is going to prevent them from going to jail for their crimes against children, then they are going to do everything they can in their power. Because think about it, it's either death or jail. And they're going to die in jail if they go to jail for this. So they'd rather just, you know, risk dying to push this agenda and get rid of the president. They already have nothing to lose. That's why when they keep saying things like, you know, Trump's trying to kill us. And they're like, how? What's he doing to you? You don't understand. What they're saying is that Trump wants to put them in jail for their crimes against children. And if the prisoners in jail find out why they're in there, they're going to have to go to the PC yard. And even over there, they can still get touched. It happens every day. So when they say that they're doing this because they're fighting for their life, when they're trying to fight against Trump because Trump is putting pedophiles in jail, that's what they mean. That's why they feel that their life is in danger. Not because it's because they can't stop what they're attracted to. They can't stop what turns them on. They can't, that fetish that they used to push deep down, it comes up. It's a real thing. And just because you and I aren't like that doesn't mean we just can't picture what's going on with these other people. It's a lifestyle choice, and they want that lifestyle to be affirmed. They wanted to be accepted. That's what this all boils down to. That's it. It's always been about the kids, and it's always going to be about the kids. Shit, I think since the beginning of human recorded history, there's always been people that wanted to hunt and hurt kids, and there's always been people that wanted to stop and protect kids. And we've always been at war with each other. Just because there's laws against it doesn't mean people don't break laws. Happens every day. Don't believe me? Look up the Romanian Angels and Erica Kirk. Then try to figure out why something happened to Charlie. He was a smart man. What if he figured that out? And he started asking questions about it. And that's why they had to remove him. What do you think the Romanian Angels were doing? Kids. It's always about kids. It all comes down to kids. What do you think they were doing? Why do you think Trump closed the border? Because of drugs only? Or was it because they were bringing kids? Biden, hundreds of thousands of kids moving all over the country. 300,000, but we can only account for 40,000. Where are the other 260,000 children? They were given to people, on the record, testified, given to people that were known predators. They were literally dropped off at their homes, and we don't know where those kids are. They haven't been seen since. Why do you think Russia banned certain people from being able to adopt their children? They would come to Russia, adopt a kid. A year later, a social worker from Russia would reach out to them and say, hey, how's it going with the baby? The gay couple that adopted the kid would say, what baby? They ran away. The baby was 3 years old last year. What do you mean he ran away? What do you think is really happening in the world around you? Yes, you go to work. Yes, you pay your bills. Yes, you're sitting in your cubicle. But there is an entire world, an entire society of evil going on around you. And because you're none the wiser, you think everything's okay and you're wrong. Let's hear what they have to say here on Fox 5.
Describe this as a gunman coming around the corner from the metro station and, in their words, ambushing two National Guard troops in what they've described as a targeted attack. Now, of course, their investigation is in a very initial stage, but they will be taking into account the fact that the deployment of National Guard troops into American cities by President Trump has been a highly contentious political move, and that coming in the environment also of growing political violence in this country. But the authorities, to be clear, were asked about any motive, and at this stage, they've given no response to that question.
Thanksgiving pies?
Yeah.
Did you have a party?
Thanks a lot.
We had a little party upstairs.
Today?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was on leftovers yesterday.
No worries. Hi, what's that?
I hate to torture you to force you to listen to people on the news. They're on the ground. I figured we'd listen to them for a second, but are they going to say what I'm saying? No. Would they say what I'm saying? No. Would the biggest podcasters out here say what I'm saying? No. Even if everything I'm saying is factually correct, they have sponsors and they have monetization they have to worry about. They live off of YouTube. I don't. I have a business. I work. I have my own stuff. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this because I have all these thoughts. I have all these opinions, and I'm seeing everything for what it really is. And then 5 months later, it turns out that I was correct in the very beginning. So I'm doing a disservice by not talking to you. So that's why I'm here. Okay, she's finally talking. Let's see what she has to say.
Days and be with families. And this is a very large perimeter that has been roped off. Again, we were earlier when we first got here at 3 o'clock, we got to be able to be down on 17th Street, and then they pushed it back. They pushed that perimeter back to 16th Street. So now we're all back up here, a good block away from where the crime scene happened. But people are working still, and a lot of places went into lockdown. Kojo is one of those. We're seeing people that are trying to get out of this. Tell us, this happened earlier around like 2:15. What was the state in your office when this took place?
Well, it was like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of my colleagues ran and told me he just heard gunshots outside. And then he looked out the window and saw a lot of people running. And then we checked into it, found out little details that were sporadic, but not totally accurate. But now, we were just locked up in there for pretty much the whole day. This is my first time coming out.
When your colleague says that he hears gunshots, what do you do? What do people do in that moment?
People do different things. Me, I don't know. It's like I get into it's everything's turned very serious then, So we just made sure there wasn't nothing going on inside the building. And then once we found out we were on lockdown, they locked all the entrances and exits in our building. We were fine.
And if there was something going on in your building, what were you going to do about it, sir? Not a goddamn thing. You're in DC. You're disarmed. You don't have guns, but the criminals do. Do you see how idiotic that is? Our nation's capital, where our constitution should be enforced, and the people there have no Second Amendment rights. They're all just going to be victims.
Word of mouth.
When you're hearing the information unfold and you're hearing that it's 2 National Guardsmen, what are people saying? What kind of discussions are you having? Like, are you able to continue working, or does this kind of overtake your afternoon?
It's distracting. Yes, and you just want to make sure it's not a domino effect that's happening. So you want to make sure that you can get home to your family, and it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Speaking of family, did you need to call them and let them know that you're safe, knowing that you work right here where this took place?
I did. Yeah, I had to call my wife, and I called a couple of friends that know I'm down this way, and they were saying they were watching it on the news, and they were just checking in on me as well. So, yeah.
How are you doing right now?
Well, I'm fine right now. Yeah, I'm fine right now. It seems like they have it all under control.
And we know Kojo is coming out here, some leftovers from a holiday party. So I know you want to get home to your wife. Again, this day being just so unfortunate of people thinking they're going to celebrate with their colleagues and go to work and be able to go home to their families. And this is so disruptive. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Let me send it back to you guys in the studio.
This is different. This is different than an attack or an ambush on 2 police officers. This is an ambush on our military. That means that these people have no fear in attacking our armed forces. The National Guard is a branch of our military. This is different than local police. This is different than ambushing ICE. This is different. This is worse. This is an escalation. This means they have no fear. Our enemies around the world who have sent people to our country when we had an open border, tens of thousands. We don't know where their soldiers are. We don't know where their personnel they sent here. We know that the flights to come to South America or Central America were not free. We know that these people have been paid since they've been here, but we don't know what they're doing here. We assume they're just giving money so they can sit in certain areas so they can be counted on the census to increase the congressional seats for that area, give more power to the Democrats in those cities. But there are some here that are waiting for instructions, waiting to be activated, waiting to be told what to do. For all we know, this could have been one of those people. But if that's correct, then yeah, there is going to be a cascade. This is just the beginning. But what if the beginning was Charlie Kirk? Do I think a gay kid that's autistic that humps on another boy that's a furry is really the extreme special ops marksman that required all this other planning and all these security failures to get the shot off? Do I believe that? Hell no. Was that the beginning, or was Butler, Pennsylvania the beginning? We don't know.
We're used to the technical jargon as well. What do you want? I love it how they
I see ATF jackets. I see DEA. I see FBI. I see local PD. All these agents standing around. In my opinion, they should be out looking for copycat shooters and on the internet looking for people that are celebrating this, who are poised to do the same on their own. They're wasting time just sitting around. You know, these people we shouldn't put all of our eggs in one basket anyway. Now we have Secret Service over here. We don't know how many of these Secret Service people are loyal to the president versus ones who are loyal to the Democrats and the multicultural democracy. Think about it. If you work for the Secret Service, but you do have a secret affinity for children, you know you're going to be in trouble. So if you could, and you know the people that are just like you are on the other side, you don't have to even get instructions. You're a secret agent, even if you don't want to be. That's the thing. You have to profile. We don't know what's going on in their minds. We're going to have to look deeper and read between the lines. There are certain things that stick out. There are certain commonalities between these people. We're going to have to profile them going forward. Or we're just going to have to wait to be victims. This is horrible news. An attack on our military in broad daylight in our nation's capital, and we have no response. There's nothing we can do.
I also don't know, was this person wearing any kind of body armor or anything? You know, or any kind of tactical gear or not? We don't even know the weapon that the person used.
I said all that in the first 3 minutes. I try to be more, not just entertaining, but have more information and more data than these talking heads on these shows who are limited on what they can say. There's been hundreds of you that have tuned in to this live. I do appreciate it. If you can, follow me on YouTube, The Single Boyfriend. I'm going to be doing lives about this for the rest of the night. We have other topics, but I put all that on hold. I wanted to bring this to you live and tell you myself. Well, here it's saying they're in critical condition, but on The Guardian, it's being reported that they both passed away. So I guess we're getting conflicted reports, but The Guardian and the AP are saying passed away, but here on this local station, they're saying both in critical condition. So as far as I know, I'm correct. Both did pass, but sometimes they wait to release that information until they've made contact with the family, and we'd have to respect those wishes. The point is, are we going to now arm our National Guard? And if somebody pulls up with a threatening gesture, are our National Guard going to treat them the way we would if somebody, say, pulled up to our military in a threatening manner if we were in Fallujah back in Iraq? Can we light up their cars? Even if they're American citizens? This is what I mean. The waters are so muddy, and what they're doing is they're hoping that you're so compassionate that you put your guard down and you just let them slit your throat. That's what they want you to do. They want you to allow them to take you out. They want you to be so afraid of being shamed. They want you to be so afraid of other people's opinions that you just let your guard down and you just go along to get along and you just give in and you lay down. As Americans, I'm going to tell you this, as a person from a country that went through a communist takeover, that is the worst thing you can do. My family, we lost our home. We made the United States our home. If we lose the United States, where do we go? Now, I've already moved to another country that I'm living in part-time, just in case things go bad here. But I don't know if any of you have also made those arrangements. For some people, this is all you have. You have children in tow. You have a wife. You have a mortgage. I have all those things too, but if everything over here collapses, then what do we do? Do you think they're doing all this because they have a better system they want to put in place? Or do they just want to dissolve the United States as a republic altogether and just leave it be? Remember when Obama called for the liberation of Libya by assassinating Gaddafi? Helping, and they justified it by saying he was using chemical weapons. It turns out that was all a lie. Remember, they killed Gaddafi in the middle of the street. You know, back in Libya, they used to give free education, free healthcare to everybody, pretty much socialist, a rich, wealthy oil nation. Now that they took out Gaddafi and gutted the country, now the only thing I hear about are open reports of doing current present day slavery. They didn't replace it and put nothing better there. They just let the place dissolve into mayhem. What do you think they want to do with the United States? We have been the envy of the world for almost 100 years. They're saying to themselves, our time is up. It is their time to rise. Why do you think there's so much confusion with gender and sexuality and family? And we're losing everything. And the people that want to see this place burn, trust me, they don't care that it's going to burn with them in it. Remember the movie Vanilla Sky? Remember how Cameron Diaz was in the car that she crashed with Tom Cruise in it? That's how a lot of these people are on the left. They're not going to go anywhere. They just want to watch everything burn, because if they're on the left, they're usually gay, they're trans, they're confused, they abort their children, they have no families, they have nothing to live for. But yeah, you're voting for them to be in your politics. But they don't have the same agenda as you. They don't have children. They don't have a family. They're not worried about tomorrow. So why are you voting for them? They don't even live the same way you do. These are lessons that are going to have to be learned the hard way. A hard head will make a soft ass. That's where we are. I'll be back in about 20 minutes with updates, and if there's and I will do a correction. But as of now, it says both are in critical conditions. But the Guardian, the Guardian newspaper, and they get theirs from the AP, reported that they both had passed away already. So this is a story about the shooting in DC. I'll be back on in about 20 minutes with probably, we're going to go over this topic and some other ones. This is just terrible news. Our military was attacked, but we can't lose faith. Keep the strength, keep your wits, keep your family close. Stay out of public places for the next few days until the smoke clears, especially on a main holiday. Kiss and love your family tomorrow. You don't know if this is your last Thanksgiving with them. None of us know that. There are people that were with us last Thanksgiving that I loved that didn't make it today. So remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.